Good morning from Milano. What's on my mind this morning is ripple effect. We've heard over and over that we never know the impact or influence we can have on other people, right? Our words of encouragement, a hug, a smile, or a listening ear. It could be our presence, our questions. We simply never know. And of course, ripple effect also comes from the stories we tell. There are a couple reasons I'm thinking about this idea of we never know the influence or impact we can have on other people. And they're both related to what happens when we share stories. And I was thinking about the rocket fuel call in particular because on the call, one of the participants was sharing a story about reading in the morning. She was making reference to the fact that when she feels a little bit off, she knows she needs to come back to that quiet place. And her way of doing that is to read in the morning. Doesn't matter whether it's her novel or something inspirational. It makes her feel centered and empowered when her first go-to isn't the television or her phone. Anyway, at the time she was talking about it, yes, it was resonating, but I didn't think too much about it. Yet it had some sort of stickiness with me. And this morning, as I got to the front door, I hadn't even walked out the door yet. I had this sudden flash of self awareness that my energy was running too high, not in a bad way, but I was too highly charged. And that story came to me, and I thought, I'm going to stop. I'm going to reclaim that feeling of being centered and calm. And I took off my coat and blazer and I sat down and listened to a lecture that I've been wanting to listen to for many weeks. And it felt good to sit in that calm center before I headed out for my day. I realize that may seem like something small, but the ripple effect of that woman's story was really helpful for me in that moment. The other thing I was thinking about this morning related to ripple effect and storytelling and coming together in a circle to share is a message that I got from another participant on the Rocket Fuel call. Her name is Kathia Friou. She has a funny spelling. It's Cathia, Kathia Friou, Friou, I think. She is not only a dear Constance listener, but she's a dear friend of mine. In fact, we were among an incredible group of people at Nancy Aroni's legendary Chillmark Writers Workshop on Martha's Vineyard almost 3 years ago now. That's something I've talked about several times. It was a really cool group of people. And when I talk about that workshop, it's one of the things I always say about that is that it's a storytelling workshop that's sold to you as a writer's workshop because it's really all about getting your stories down on paper. Anyway, Kathia was leaving me some feedback and she said, I've got one other interesting thing to tell you. I didn't write this down when we were brainstorming on the call, but something that felt important to me came to me in the days following. And I decided to put out an offer to lead a twice monthly Zoom group called Menopause, Elder Care, and Adult Children. Oh my. I really loved hearing that because I think that illustrates not only the ripple effect of storytelling, but it's the power of putting your intention towards creating a life you love. I think it's a good illustration of what happens when we do a little brainstorm with ourselves. And that can also be in the form of writing questions, generating questions. I talk about beautiful questions a lot. When you write a question that can't be answered with a strategic mind, it activates our subconscious. And in fact, this idea to bring people together for the Zoom call around menopause, elder care, and adult children bubbled up to the surface in the days thereafter. Interestingly, as I'm telling this story, it's reminding me of the time that Kathy and I met at the writer's workshop. At that time in my life, I was struggling, as I have throughout my life, with meaning making. And I call it meaning making because I have this desire to do something that feels important and meaningful related to my purpose in life and why am I here. In fact, something related to this idea of having some sort of positive ripple effect in the world. In this writing workshop, at the end of each day, we're given a prompt, and the instruction is to put your pen to paper and to write for 20 minutes, just to let it out, let it rip, whatever comes up for you from that writing prompt. The prompts were things like, what I never told you is. Just think about it for a minute. If you were given that writing prompt, what I never told you is, you could write about any of a number of things. Another interesting one that we got was something like, in my family growing up, the dinner table was I think you get the idea. Anyway, this other prompt we had was the hardest thing is. I entitled mine Ripple Effect, and the first paragraph was the hardest thing is to fully trust that the divine purpose of my life will be revealed to me. It's some kind of hurry up and wait game. I've been waiting and searching for this meaning-making puzzle piece my whole life. The most important, elusive one of them all. But matters of the heart are complex, aren't they? And the last paragraph read, in the absence of being struck by divine lightning, some earth-shattering idea that makes me shake inside, I shall start with the humility of a pebble, for it is the pebble that creates magic ripple effect. So I suppose the hardest thing is to learn to be a good pebble. Yeah, so back when I wrote that, my dear friend Sarah Forden came to Martha's Vineyard to visit, and I'll never forget, we were looking out on the ocean. We were having a wonderful lunch of lobster chowder and a cold beer. And in that awkward vulnerability, that shyness I was talking about in Monday's episode called When Our Shyness is a Tell, I shared with Sarah this seedling of an idea to create ripple effect by sharing the stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Anyway, that vulnerability, that shyness I was feeling when I wrote that piece and when I shared with my friend Sarah was very much a clue about something that I was longing for. And there are a lot of reasons that that didn't come to fruition. But what did come out of that germ of an idea is, in fact, Dear Constance. And as I'm sharing this beautiful memory with you, I suppose it's fair to say that I found my courage to take those steps and do the hard thing, which is trying to be a good pebble. By the way, if that fun title of Kathia's workshop speaks to you, menopause, elder care, and adult children, oh my, you can either look her up on Instagram or DM me and I'll connect you. She's a thoughtful, wise person and a great writer, and I'm sure that will be an interesting group to partake in. And it would be really cool to support her as she moves towards that thing that makes her feel a little shy and vulnerable. I think it's fair to say that we're all humble pebbles, whether we know it or not. We simply never know the impact or influence we can have on other people through our encouragement, our storytelling, our questions, and our mere presence. And that's a beautiful thing. I think I'm actually going to call this episode Humble Pebbles and Ripple Effects. So there you have it. That's all for now. Until next time, from my heart to yours.